Hello, welcome to Trigger TV Canada. My name's Andy, and once again we're out with the dogs for a walk. Beautiful day out here. You can see the snow's kind of receding off the trails, which is kind of nice. Dogs don't really like it. They kind of like the snow. It keeps them nice and cool. They can get a drink whenever they want, but still finding lots of places to do that. It's still a little bit soggy out here. Anyway, let me tell you what's got me thinking today. Like I said, I'm a forced on leave airline pilot, and so there's been a lot of debate lately about Canada being the only country on the planet that still has a vaccine mandate for international travel. I'm sure by now everybody's heard that the NDP and Liberal have joined in a Nazi coalition, so it's not really a huge surprise that they would do. Oh, what did you find? Oh, you got a femur. Good girl. She's one dog will always find some kind of car guy and the other won't. I don't know. But anyway, there was a bit of a debate in Parliament the other day with Ontario MP Lanceman going after Trudeau about it. I'll play a clip of that.
Reprise du débat, l'honorable député de Thornhill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's good to see you in that chair. I'm going to split my time with the member from Edmonton, or St. Albert, Edmonton. For 2 years, Canadians have been living with COVID-19 restrictions, 2 years of lockdowns, not being able to visit loved ones, not being able to travel, 2 years of isolation. And while Canadians understood the need for various restrictions applied during the pandemic, despite the lack of consistency, despite the mixed messaging, despite the confusion, Canadians have done what was asked of them. But what today they can no longer be expected to live with is the indefinite nature of these restrictions, the timelines, the lack of data. They are noticing that leaders across the country, 10 provinces, are following the evidence and advice from public health officials, evidence that supports ending the mandates. Mr. Speaker, provincial leaders have lifted or have plans to lift mandates in their provinces. The only government in Canada that has no plan to lift restrictions is this one. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that members opposite will argue that their compulsion for continued mandates is somehow justified by public health officials. But, Mr. Speaker, Canada's own top doctor says that the Omicron variant is a game changer and that it has forced us to rethink vaccine mandates. Dr. Tam said at we are at a very important juncture, and COVID-19 policies need to shift from emphasis on requirements to recommendations. That's the government's own advisor. The government's own advisor says that the federal vaccine mandates are under review now because the science tells us that the COVID-19 vaccine, or at least the first 2 doses, offers very little protection against transmission of the variant. Advice once valued by this government now suddenly ignored in an attempt to drive division and dehumanize those who don't agree, doubling down on a tactic that some members of their own caucus have called out. The travel vaccine mandate has prevented approximately 6 million Canadians from travel within Canada. It prevents them from flying out of Canada. They cannot travel, they can't visit family and friends, they can't take international vacations or even fly across the country. They can't live their ordinary lives. Canada is the only country in the developed world that bans citizens from air travel.
So you can see she comes up with some pretty good points there. She states that even Theresa Tam is now saying we should move to more of a suggestion type of information type of system instead of mandates. We sure that well, Theresa is actually a woman. I've seen some pretty compelling pictures of him as a man. I'm not sure if they're photoshopped or not, but If they are, boy, he did a pretty good job of that one. 6 million people this affects still that can't travel. That's a significant portion of the population that's basically imprisoned in Canada. I had an aunt and uncle that lived in East Germany, and they used to have to jump through a bunch of hoops and get, to get a visa to get out of there and come and visit us. The difference between East Germany and Canada was that they could actually still leave. We can't without subjecting ourselves to an experimental medical procedure. Well, by the way, I did hear a guy came up with a good suggestion. I think I'm being adopted that. Quit using unvaccinated. That's a psyop, psychological term they've come up with to unperson. You're uncooperative, you're uneducated. It has a lot of negative connotation to it. So this guy suggested we start using vaccine-free or pure-blooded, both of which don't have that stigmatism that they can stick on it and make you sound like you're lesser than. Just a little side note there. And she also points out that we're the only country that still has this mandate in effect. The only one on the planet. Well, maybe, North Korea. I don't think you can leave there whenever you want. Unless you're a really fast runner and you can make it across the DMZ without getting shot. But who knows, we might be getting to that point too. I haven't tried to get across the border, the U.S. border here for a while. Maybe that's the case. You just got to put on your track shoes and give her. So a lot of other news agencies are starting to pick up on this. It's getting some traction. The Washington Post calls it discriminatory. City News, Tourism Roundtables calling it unnecessary and non-science based, which of course it is. I mean, we've all seen the numbers of how many fully vaccinated people are getting sick and getting the flu. So, said it again and again, that the vaccine's a complete failure. And, and the truth will come out eventually about this. And when I was flying, I was flying internationally, and I've been to Shanghai a few times during the height of the pandemic. Never did see any of these major lockdowns and stuff. I mean, there was a few guys running around in their hazmat suits and stuff, but it wasn't like they portrayed it on TV with people dropping dead, because I was able to leave the hotel and walk around down there. I can also say that I saw at least 3 heavy aircraft, 777 or 87s, in Vancouver every day during the whole pandemic, carrying literally thousands of people. I mean, those planes each carry 400 or 500 people each. The triples do anyway. Oh, and the A380 was in there quite often. That's 500 people right there. Every day. So if we were in a real pandemic, how could you justify letting that many people into the country when no other country reciprocated that? We weren't allowed to go to Shanghai. Like, the only time I went there was with cargo. But I myself flew probably 1,000 passengers through Seoul, Korea into Vancouver. And I mean, half of them are probably Chinese that are just coming through that way. Or Koreans. There was so many exemptions and lets for students, for you name it, business guys. They all had all these exemptions. So if there was a real pandemic going on, how could that be? How could you exempt all these people? Like, you're either shut down or you're not shut down. So there was never a pandemic. It was the whole thing was absolutely cooked up. Because the facts don't bear it out. You can't have a pandemic and still let thousands of people in and out of your borders. But only those people. The Germans weren't coming, the Brits weren't coming, there's nobody else coming. But, Air Canada, being a good little Vanguard, BlackRock, Salt Street Berkshire Company. You add up all their holdings, you pretty much get I think you get a majority. You know, they don't question and they do what they're told, and they laid off all the people that were vaccine free. Anyway, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all shakes out. As we just saw with the Hunter Biden laptop, there's no way that the truth doesn't come out eventually, no matter how hard the criminal, disgusting, lying mainstream media tries to suppress it. Eventually it will come out. Right, Penny? Golden Penny? Yeah, so until then, I guess we'll kind of wait and see what happens. Thanks a lot for coming out for a walk with me and the dogs. It's a little bit shorter one because I'm just depressing myself with this topic because it's on a pretty personal note. But like I said, I am hopeful at the same time. Things are starting to break out around this topic, and people are talking about it, like in Parliament, and the aviation companies and airlines and tourist companies are all starting to wake up as the summer's coming along and seeing their profits go down the drain for absolutely no reason whatsoever because of unicorn fairy tale land science. So I think it is starting to break up. And anyway, that's it. If you have time, drop into triggertees.biz, check out some t-shirts, and other than that, you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.